Hello and welcome to today's lesson. I have a vocabulary lesson for you. And I think this is a very important lesson. And I know I say that often, but this time I really mean it because we're going to talk about something that is a part of our everyday lives, and that is just going to the pharmacy. This is something that we have to do from time to time. So that's why I think it's very important that we're able to express our thoughts and opinions when we are there. And this vocabulary that I'm going to go over with you today, I think is very useful. And I would say that it is more advanced vocabulary, but because we people go to the pharmacy often, I think some of these words you've probably heard of, which is great because again, they're very important. But again, it's good to get a little bit of a reminder if you already know some of them. And as always, I really hope that you learn something new. And as we go through this, it's going to get a little more difficult. So some of the more difficult words I've saved until the very end. So let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to present this to you as, well, a little bit of a quiz to test your knowledge so that you can participate in the lesson. I want you to write your answers in the chat or write your answers in the comments, even if you're watching this later. I just want you guys, it's interactive English. I want you to participate. So the first question, I wanted to start out with something, well, probably one of the most important words. So this is referring to a piece of paper on which a doctor writes the details of a medicine or drugs that someone needs. What do you call that piece of paper? And this is an important word. Again, if you go to the doctor, they may give you this, and then you're going to take it to the pharmacy, in which case then they will give you the drugs or the medicine that you need. All right, so excellent. Great. Lolly, great to see you. Perfect. Takaya, good to see you. Muffin, Oleg. So the answer, I'll try to give some shout outs as we go through this, is a prescription. So if you go to a pharmacy or even a doctor, this is a must-know word. Very important, but just based on the chat, it seems like this is a word that many of you are familiar with. That's wonderful. We're talking about a prescription. One thing that I want to point out very quickly is just the pronunciation has 3 syllables. The stress is on that second syllable. Prescription. Prescription. So again, you want to make sure that you are pronouncing this word correctly if you go to a pharmacy and you tell them, okay, here is my prescription, and they will give you the medicine that you need. The next one. Okay, let's keep moving right along. All right. So this is talking about a medicine or chemical that can destroy harmful bacteria in the body or limit their growth. All right. What would you call this? Okay. What are we talking about here? So again, this is a word that I think is very important. That's why I said these are must-know words. A medicine or chemical that can destroy harmful bacteria in the body or limit their growth is called. Good job, Rafaela. Good to see you, Zanat, Kevin. So again, I think you guys know some of these words right off the bat, which is great. We're talking about an antibiotic. So this is what you may ask for, or the doctor may tell you. You go to the doctor, they tell you that in order to get over your illness, you are going to need to take some antibiotics. And you'll go to the pharmacy and they will give you them. Excellent. You guys rock that one. Vicky, Gustav, good to see you. Perfect. I also want to follow up because, a prescription, antibiotic, very important words. So again, I want to highlight the pronunciation quickly. So you've noticed I've been saying antibiotic. The stress is on that 4th syllable, antibiotic. Now, I've been saying it more definitely with that British pronunciation. in the United States, because I know that you may be someone who lives in the US or you travel to the US, and this is specific to the American accent. Sometimes when that T, it follows an N sound, it may elide and it's going to go away. Not always, but you may hear people say an antibiotic. And you don't really hear that T sound. So that is specific to the American accent, but I wanted to point that out. That does not mean you'll always hear everybody in the US say it like that. Again, often people would say an antibiotic, and you hear that true T sound. So I wanted to point out the pronunciation with this one as well, because very important word, just to start out. So the next one, we're talking in this case about the amount of medicine that you should take at one time. What word, has that meaning, captures that meaning? The amount of medicine that you should take at one time. And this is something, if you're talking to a pharmacist, they may use this word when they're telling you about the medicine, giving you some instructions, and they're referring to the amount, and they're talking about perfect. Vidya, Takayao, Lali, Violet. So again, some of you, dosage, both of those are correct. I just used the word dosage. Again, this is a noun, but again, you may also use the word dose as well. You're going to need to take 4 doses of this each day. But if you also want to talk about that amount, you could say the dosage. What is the dosage? How much of the medicine am I going to take? So the next one, again, you guys are rocking this. I told you it will get more difficult as we go through this. So I'm confident there will be some words that you will learn, especially toward the end. It definitely becomes more advanced. So the next one, this is I don't want to give it away, the blank. I'm just going to say, we're talking about drugs that are bought in a shop without first visiting a doctor. So think about a pharmacy. You don't always go to a pharmacy after you go to a doctor. You may, before going to the doctor, you may go to a pharmacy just in order to get some medicine, to get some drugs. And in this case, you don't need a prescription. So what would you say? These are medicines, drugs that you can buy. And again, the picture is a little bit of a hint, but good job. Again, I like you guys are rocking this. Victor, Anawat, YouTube, Kalensi, sorry if I mispronounced some names, Mina, Lali, Vicky, Gustav. We're talking about over the counter. So you go to a pharmacy, you don't have to have a prescription. There are many other medicines that you can buy without a prescription, and that would just be referred to as these are over-the-counter medicines, drugs that you can just purchase. It could be something like cough medicine, something that's not too severe, but if you have a cold, you might get some of this medicine that's over-the-counter. So that is a good phrase to know. And I was about to say phrase, and I thought, well, that makes it a little maybe a little too easy. Then we have this one right here. So this is a word. It's referring to products that do not have a trademark and are sold without the name of the company that produced them. All right, what word would you use to refer to these products? All right, there's no trademark. It doesn't have the name of the company that produced them. And again, this is a word that is it's relevant to when talking about a pharmacy, but it's a word maybe you might have in conversations with friends or something, talking about the medicines, the drugs that you have. Excellent, good job, Lali, Rafaela, Vidya, Muffin. The word that we're looking for is generic. So I've given you an example down here. So you see that Advil cold and sinus. So Advil, this is the trademark. This is the brand name. This Advil is, I believe it's owned by Pfizer. So Pfizer is the company that produced this drug, and this is their brand, Advil. On the other side, over there, you can see the generic drug. And even on the label there, it says, check the active ingredients, Advil, cold and sinus. It even says that on the front of this generic drug. And typically, if you're talking about the difference between the brand drug and the generic drug, I think primarily the main difference is the price. You're going to pay more for Advil, cold and sinus, the brand name, than you would the generic drugs. So I think that's really the main difference. So I have one more for the must-know words and phrases. And again, because I think they're must-know, I think you guys know most of these. This is good review. This is a word that's referring to, well, something that's continuing for a long time, especially when talking about a disease or just something bad. And to give you a little bit of a hint, think about that picture right there. All right, and you're talking about something that's continuing for a long time. This is a word that you may use when you're trying to describe something or explain it to the doctor, and you're talking about your situation, your condition. Awesome. I think a lot of you guys got this one. We're talking about the word chronic. If you say that something is chronic, it means that it's continuing for a long time. In that picture, somebody might say that they have chronic back pain. So if they say it's chronic back pain, then you know, okay, they've been dealing with this for some time. It's chronic. So you might hear like chronic back pain, chronic chest pain, and it's a good word if you're trying to describe what you're going through, what you're enduring, and trying to describe that when talking to a doctor or a pharmacist. So those were some must-know vocabulary words, and now I want to look at some collocations. These are words that are frequently used together, and again, these are good phrases to know the next time you go to a pharmacy. So let's go back to the very first word that I said is so important, which is the word prescription. So what word would you use to fill in the blank here, to complete this sentence? I need to go to the pharmacy in order to my prescription. I need to go to the pharmacy in order to my prescription. Which word completes that sentence? And then I'll identify the collocations, the collocation, the words that are frequently used together. So when talking about a prescription, there's a common word that you may use when talking about a prescription. So there's some there are some phrasal verbs you could use. That's not what I was going for. So again, I think I saw some correct answers. Exactly, Kevin, Zero Gamer. So the word that I was looking for is you're going to fill your prescription. This means, I've given you the meaning down here, to supply and sell a dose, there's that word again, or set of doses of a medicine as prescribed to one by the doctor, and you want to fill your prescription. You could, again, some of you used a phrasal verb, which you're going to drop off your prescription because maybe you're going to have to go back to the pharmacy and then pick up your prescription. So those phrases work. They would work in this sentence even if you want to drop off your prescription or pick up your prescription. However, in this case, I'm talking about you're trying to fill a prescription and kind of get that supply. And I think this is something that's relevant if you're going to continually take some medicine and you're going to have to go back to the pharmacy every so often and get your prescription filled. So a good word to know when talking about a prescription. Then we have this, I think maybe you guys will get this one. I think it's very common, this phrase. Somebody may ask, maybe you're going to ask the pharmacist and say, what do you think? Does the medication have any effects? Does the medication have any effects? What word would you use? This is a common phrase. I have already mentioned it once in this lesson, pretty recently. We're talking about effects. So effects, that's, you see it starts with an E. We're talking about the noun. And to complete this sentence, excellent, we're talking about side effects. Side effects, this refers to the unpleasant effect of a drug or medical treatment in addition to the main intended effect. So I think oftentimes medicine may have some side effects, or people may experience some side effects when taking different medications. So this is something that you want to be aware of, and you may want to ask the pharmacist about any side effects, or they may just go ahead and tell you and say, hey, be careful, this medicine this could have some side effects. And a good, very important phrase to know, very important collocation. Also, I wanted to mention too, if you would like to get a copy of the lesson notes, click on that link down in the description. If you are already a part of the email community, I've gone ahead and sent them to you. I'll make a reminder of that at the end. But if you want to get these lesson notes, learn these words, review them, you can get this ebook right here that I'm showing you. The next one, you can check the label if you'd like to see the medicine's ingredient. Right? This is another collocation that's already come up once in this lesson. So I think, again, maybe you see that noun ingredient. Think about what word is commonly used with that. So you can check the label if you'd like to see the medicine's ingredient. Write your answer in the chat or in the comments. If you're watching this later, I just want you guys to participate, take part in these lessons. So, excellent. We're talking about the word active. All right, you can check the label if you'd like to see the medicine's active ingredient. And I've gone ahead and highlighted the collocation. So the active ingredient refers to the main ingredient in a medicine that produces its chemical or biological effect. Now, to go back to something that we talked about earlier, if you're trying to decide between the brand name medication or the generic medication, this is something that I might do. I might look on the back and check out the active ingredient to make sure that, okay, this is the same, it's the same amount. And then okay, well, I can, if I want to save some money, I can just buy the generic drug. But again, it's helpful to look at the active ingredient, make sure it's the same. Then we have this last one. Again, maybe you can use the picture if you would like a hint. I think maybe it makes it a little too easy, but if possible, I'd prefer to use a spray. Sometimes medications, they come in the form of a spray, but you would use this collocation when referring to this. Instead of just saying a spray, which is fine, people would commonly say a spray. If possible, I'd prefer to use a spray. So just, simple enough. You would use a spray. Think about where it goes. How are you going to take this medicine? You're going to take it, you're going to, put it up in your nose, and therefore it's referred to as a nasal spray. All right, excellent job. Rafaela, Anawit, who is it? Irene, Alamat, perfect. All right, give some more shout outs. So a nasal spray is just a liquid medication. It's inhaled as a spray. And I think, sometimes people think, I agree, I think sometimes it's easier and just not as invasive sometimes to take a nasal spray, especially if you experience some congestion. So now that we've kind of gone through some of these collocations, once again, I want to switch gears and I want to test your knowledge when it comes to some drug vocabulary. And I will say this is a little more difficult than the words and the collocations that we've just discussed. So I told you that it's going to get a little more challenging as we go on. So this is some drug vocabulary, and we'll see how much you know. But if you go to a pharmacy, these I think are important words and phrases. So when talking about medicines that are often used to relieve symptoms of allergies, such as hay fever, hives, and reactions to insect bites or stings, these medicines are referred to as what? So just as kind of like the collective group of medicines. So if you, for example, in the spring, I get allergies and I would need to take a what? Right? So especially I think a lot of people experience allergies, and in that case, you would need to take an antihistamine. So this is a great word to know when talking about allergies as well as some of those other things. And you might, go to the pharmacy and say, look, I have some, bad allergies. Oh, like here, over there, you'll find some antihistamines, and you can choose one, and that's going to help with your allergies. An antihistamine. Excellent. Vicky, Gustav, Rafaela, Ronnie, nice work. Then we have this. This is a drug used to treat fever, swelling, pain, and redness by preventing the body from making a substance that causes inflammation. All right. I've got these meanings from the online from the dictionary, and again these I think maybe I'm sure you may have heard of some of these words. They're very useful, very important. Go to a pharmacy. So again, we're talking about the drug. So the drug that's used to treat the fever, swelling, or pain has a specific name. And again, I would say think about a headache. All right. You have a fever or, again, pain like a headache. What are you going to take if you have a headache? I see some answers, not the one that I'm looking for. This would be really I believe it would be the active ingredient, what I'm referring to. So we're not talking about necessarily like a painkiller. Um, in general, you could say that you're going to take some ibuprofen. So ibuprofen would be if you have a headache or fever, then you could take some of this ibuprofen, and it acts as like this anti-inflammatory. I know some of you had mentioned that, like even Tylenol. I said like I think this is more the active ingredient. Ibuprofen is like Tylenol. This would be the more generic form of it, ibuprofen. So the next one, hopefully, again, this is a new word, again, something you can think of. But again, I also wouldn't say painkiller. Painkiller is, I think, a very broad term. But in this case, I think of painkillers often associated with injuries, a lot of physical pain. Ibuprofen, like think of like a headache. Again, very common. The next one, this is a word when talking about drugs. A substance that makes it easier for the waste from someone's bowels to come out. Okay, what would you refer to this substance as? And there is, again, give you that picture there. And there are many types of medications that you would say, oh, this is and it's going to have this effect. It's going to make it easier for somebody for their bowels to come out if, for example, if somebody is constipated. If they're constipated, then they would need to take all right, you guys, you guys are rocking this. And again, these are, like I said, these are things that I think everybody experiences from, at maybe at one point in your life. And that's why this vocabulary, I believe, is so important, because we're talking in this case about a laxative. So if you are experiencing constipation, you go to the pharmacy and you would ask, like, hey, I need to get a laxative. What would you recommend, or what do you have? And then there are different brands that make medications that would be a laxative and that could help you in this regard. So the next one, okay, this is talking about a drug used to calm a person or animal or to make them sleep. So it's going to have that calming effect or just allow someone to sleep easier. What type of drug are you going to take? You're going to take a what? So once again, this is kind of just the overall like name referring to this drug, and there are different brands that maybe you could buy that's going to have this effect. What would you say? So I see some different answers. So maybe, again, this might be a new word for some of you. So in this case, if you're looking for that calming effect or to help somebody sleep, you would refer to that as a sedative. I need to take a sedative because I'm having trouble sleeping, and that's going to help. And again, there are different types of sedatives. There are sedatives, some may be more mild, others might be very strong, but in general, you would be talking about a sedative. Then we have this, okay? And think about the picture. Look at the picture to help. We're talking about a thick substance, usually containing medicine that is put on the skin where it is sore, or maybe there's an injury and you're just trying to cure it. What would you call that thick substance? And really, I said look at the picture because I think this is a good example. A lot of times they come in these smaller tubes. So I know some people may be thinking cream. I'm not talking about cream. It's a little similar, but again, it's these smaller tubes, and it's a thick substance. Sometimes cream isn't too thick. So in this case, if you're trying to cure it and you're just putting it on the skin, wow, all right, excellent. I thought maybe this might be new for some of you. You guys rocked it. Lolly, Rafaela, Young-hee, Mina, talking about ointment. So you would use an ointment. I think this is a good picture when you want to, you have some, it could be like even a bite or something, and you put some ointment on there hoping to cure it. But great job. Excellent. The next one is talking about an artificial form of a natural chemical substance. Okay, this is a natural chemical substance, but it's an artificial form in this case, and it's used for treating particular medical conditions. Now, I don't, I don't want to give it away, but often this is when people think about this, they think about something specific about that picture. All right, it has to do with the picture. However, this can also be used for treating other medical conditions as well. So I thought maybe the picture would definitely give it away if you see that person with those muscles and wow, okay, that does not look natural. It looks like that person maybe on steroids. So steroid is, again, people often, I think, associate this with like sports and people trying to become stronger. But you might have steroids. I mentioned the word cream. You might have a steroid cream. For example, if someone has eczema and they get maybe the redness that looks like a rash on their skin. And in order to make that eczema go away, you might use a steroid cream. So again, steroid is not just about getting stronger and people using it in athletics and competitions, but there are other medicines that people will use that you could say it's a steroid. Then we have this one. We're talking about a drug that makes the mind or body more active. What would you refer to that type of drug as? So, I guess to give you a little bit of a hint, we talked about a drug that would have that calming effect to help you sleep. In that case, you're going to take a sedative. If you want to make your body more active, then you might take a drug that would be considered a what? So it's like kind of the opposite of a sedative. So you have something that's a sedative and then another drug that might be considered a what? And I know people see that picture of coffee. Again, not talking about coffee or caffeine, but coffee or caffeine would be considered a that is the word that I'm looking for. Excellent, Victor, Lolly, Rafaela, Ernie, Zero Gamer. We're talking about a stimulant. So you would say that, yeah, coffee has caffeine. It's a stimulant. It's going to help, your body and mind be more active. And like I said, it's the opposite of taking a sedative, which is going to have that calming effect to help you sleep. So you can think of those as opposite ends of the spectrum. You have a sedative to help you sleep and a stimulant in order to help you stay active and stay awake. Maybe you need to stay up late into the evening and you might drink coffee, or there are some other medicines that you could take that have this effect, and you would say they are stimulants. So here, this is a little bit of review, the words and phrases that I went over in this lesson. If you want to get a PDF copy, check out that link down below in the description. I will put it in the chat right here just so you have it. And again, if you're already a part of our email community, I've gone ahead and sent you these notes. You can get them there. But yeah, this is a good way to review and just as far as collecting documents and resources when it comes to learning English, this is a good way to do that because like I said, this is, I think, very useful and important vocabulary because going to the pharmacy, it's part of our everyday lives. And I think these are good words and phrases to know when you want to express your thoughts and opinions. So my overall goal, hopefully, is that at least you got a little bit of review because it seems like you knew many of these words. And I hope that you just learned one or two new words in this lesson or a new collocation because even though I think these are common because you go to the pharmacy all the time, I would still say that they are advanced because outside of this context of medicine, pharmacy, you may not use them often. It really depends on the conversations that you're having. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Again, I hope you learned something new. If you enjoyed the lesson and you did learn something new, please hit that like button. Lets me know that, okay, maybe I'll keep doing some of these vocabulary lessons, helping you guys build your vocabulary. I think it is an important part of reaching your fluency goals. So thank you to Kyle. Good to see you. I'll see you next week. Muffin, Young Hee, Mina, Lolly, Vicky, Gustav, thanks for joining us. Elena, I hope that you have a wonderful Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys next